Hi, everybody. Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant. My warm wishes to all of you. It's the eve of 25th December. So it's 24th December 2020. I'm sitting here at my house in Mississauga, Canada. We've just had a bit of snow. And this is the time of year where tomorrow is 25th December. A lot of people around the world celebrating Christmas, and then a lot of other people might have taken holidays. It's a festive time of the year. I have taken 2 weeks off of work as well, and right now sitting at my home, actually in my son's playroom. I thought of having a chat with all of you. As I said, end of year. Usually, it's a festive time of the year. A lot of people travel around. They meet with family. The occasions are there, but it's not the same kind of festivity. A lot of people used to travel at this time of the year, and the reason that it's not as festive end of the year, because this particular year was unlike any of the years that many of us, at least our generation, has seen. It was a year which changed the definition for a lot of things that we do on a daily basis. I, being an immigration practitioner based here in Canada, focusing on Canadian immigration, I saw a lot of things changing. And though it has been a challenging year, but I still feel that there are a lot of positives out of this particular year in general, in all our personal lives, and more specifically with regard to Canadian immigration. So, just sitting back in this free time, I thought I will share a few things because I know a lot of people who are aspirants of Canadian immigration, who are followers of my social media platforms. Uh, many people have had this disappointment. A lot of people think that because of this COVID, probably their chances of immigrating to Canada have gone down. I think that's not the case. Let's look at this. So we started off with a very regular year. Jan, Feb, March is where we saw a lot of things being impacted. If you look at some of the facts, this particular year in terms of express entry, uh, this was the year where IRCC has gone on to invite or send out ITAs close to about 100,000. So this has been the largest number of ITAs in a calendar year since the start of express entry in 2015. So, express entry ITAs, they've been there. um, I think credit must be given to the Canadian government and the Department of Immigration in particular, who've been flexible enough to change their policy as things happened. And not for a moment it felt that they are not sensing the pulse of things. Rather, they came up with policies which probably before COVID, none of us would have even thought that such policies could be incorporated by IRCC. Some of the examples, if the biometrics aren't there, if the medicals aren't there, they said that they will not refuse a case. The extension for these, the submission of these kind of documentation or information, um, it was allowed that you submit these documents within 90 days. And if you're not able to provide them by that time as well, they again said that there's no expiry to that. um, Specifically in terms of express entry, previously we used to have 90 days for submission of the documents. It was reduced to 60 days, and nobody would have thought that they would return back to 90 days. they did this year, understanding that people would have challenges obtaining the documentation. If I look at some other specific areas, so CEC draws. Now, IRCC was smart enough that at a time where they thought that um, it will be difficult for people who are outside of Canada to proceed with their PR application, even if they get ITA, they started targeting people who were in Canada, and providing them with an opportunity for permanent residency. Again, a smart move that so many CEC applicants would have never thought that they would be able to have an ITA on scores as low as 440s and scores like that. PNPs, except for one or two provinces, I know Alberta restricted its invitation numbers, but other than that, if you look at most of the provinces, they have been actively inviting people in draws in various streams. The biggest province, province of Ontario, um, in total, I think there were about 10 draws which were tech or general profession draws, the human capital priority stream. There were about four specifically for French speaking people, about three. So in total, they did about 15 to 18 draws. They've actually invited a little more than 8,000 or sent notices of invitation to more than 8,000 people for this particular year. So they've been doing it. Saskatchewan has been doing it. Other provinces. So even provincial nomination, we've seen that happening all throughout this time period. Um, Another important aspect that I feel was amazing was so Canada attracts a large number of international students. Um, because of the COVID situation, a lot of these students went into an uncertainty that if Canada will completely close down all the options that they have, and many of the students who are opting for Canadian immigration, many of them are actually looking at postgraduate work permit and the opportunities of settlement in Canada. And for that, you have to have study in Canada. So not only did the government came up with a policy where they said that students who apply for a visa by a certain deadline date, they will be that time period will be considered as study in Canada. They also allowed them to study online and use that time for their postgraduate work permit. And also, they came up with a two-stage approval process. So that's been a great thing. And now, more recently, in October, they actually came up with a policy that students who are going to be enrolled at institutions which have a COVID readiness plan and they get their visas granted, they can travel as well. So some brilliant policies. I know one of the areas, the spousal sponsorship applications, they had a major impact where a lot of applications were not being processed. And realizing this, the Department of Immigration increased the number of officers working on those cases by about 60%. And I know people who were stuck for more than a year, and in last say month or so a lot of applications have been finalized, and they will be having the PR. So in terms of immigration, I would say yes, this was a turbulent year where there was a lot of uncertainty. People didn't know what is going to happen, because sometimes you're in a situation, and even to build a policy, a government department has to look at a lot of factors. There are operational matters, and then they have to look at the impact of that policy. So at times, people were awaiting some policies, and that wait time period, that's where people become a little anxious. But I am, as somebody who's based in Canada, living here in Canada, working in this system, I would really give a lot of credit to the Canadian government as a whole and Canadian Department of Immigration in particular, where and other provincial immigration related departments and bodies as well, where they've been on their toes. Some other bodies, like I would say the ECA bodies, they've been really flexible. I know in terms of the documentation requirement, a lot of them have shown a lot of flexibility, and they kept the system, they kept the machine going on. So, in all honesty, this has not been a disappointing year. Yes, there can be a few instances here and there, and this clearly gave an indication as to how important immigration is for the Canadian society. Uh, the current government that is there, how much importance that they give to Canadian immigration, even the contribution that immigrants have had in not just the overall Canadian society, but in this during this pandemic time, the contribution that these people have had as frontline workers. There were refugees whose refugee cases were being processed, and during the pandemic, a lot of them actually worked as frontline workers, and there were these policies where such people were allowed permanent resident status as well. So this has been a brilliant year, where I would say, as an immigration practitioner, I can clearly say that the years to come, there will be a lot of focus on economic immigration in Canada, and I will soon be making a video. As I said, I've taken off for a couple of weeks, and lately I've not been able to make a lot of videos because of personal engagements and some personal matters as well. But I have these couple of weeks off from work, so I will be making a lot of videos during this time and uploading that and sharing my thoughts with you guys on specific programs. So in a few days, you will see a video from my side, which will be focused on the 2021 plan. So we will talk about that. But I think this year has been great. It has been ups and downs, but nothing to be disappointed for this particular year, and not even for the year to come. Stay tuned. I will share the upcoming year's immigration plan, and you will be seeing a lot more videos on various topics of Canadian immigration from my side. Take very good care of yourself and your families. Enjoy the days, enjoy the holidays wherever you are. Take care. Allah Hafiz.